first, I'm going to talk about legendary pop icon George Michael.
My boyfriend.
R.I.P.
I know. Now, to teach the children who were born before us and Josh, shockingly.
And Josh.
George Michael was a founding member.
Us.
Before and after. AJ and BJ. Awkward. George Michael was a founding member of a UK pop group called Wham. And if you've ever heard that song, Last Christmas, I Gave You My Heart, that's a Wham jam.
That's the one you're
Thank you, ma'am.
going with?
Okay, because that is...
Yeah.
It's the one I'm going with because we are assaulted with it every holiday season. It knows no age. It knows no limit. It's in every Target, every Pier 1 imports. You're not going to ever escape that song. I feel like you can escape other Wham songs. You can't escape that one. That one's frogging in your brain, essentially.
No, that's fair.
It lives rent-free.
Yep. And
people who have not heard of George Michael, like, don't go to that as your, I don't know.
I'm speaking to the children.
Starting point. I know, but I want them
to
do better in their research into who we're talking about.
That's on them.
I would also,
I'm not gonna do.
I would also point the youngers to George Michael singing "Faith" that was covered by Fred Durst.
I literally have that written into my notes.
I'm so sorry.
How
Careless
dare
Whisperer.
you? I can't. I'm never gonna fucking dance again. So that's Wham with an exclamation point, which is very important, very pivotal to the branding. Yes, I'm drunk, so no, I can't pronounce exclamation point, but thank you so much for clocking that. This group produced extreme earworm hits in the early and mid 80s, mostly big with the... I'm burping. Okay. Mostly big with the teens at the time. They were a huge success. But eventually, George got the itch to make music that catered more to an adult audience and ended things amicably with Andrew Ridgeley, the other Wham founder, in 1986. And it was, quote, the most amicable split in pop music history.
Yeah, they usually don't end well.
Nope. So George Michael would go on to a super successful solo career. His most iconic song, Faith, the music video of which prominently features a very tight pair of jeans. It was a powerful awakening moment for a generation of people, especially queer men. Mm-hmm. And I would be remiss not to show my love for the Limp Bizkit cover, which was my first introduction to George Michael.
Oh,
and I am not ashamed to say it.
So good.
I
prefer the original, but the Limp Bizkit one is kind of fun to like rage to in your car. Mm-hmm. I also had the LimeWire download, so it was like a little bit like rocky at the beginning.
Yeah, not great. The quality was not stellar.
It like skips at a specific point, so when I hear it on the radio or I'm like playing it in my head, I like include the skip.
I love that so much. That's iconic. Mm-hmm. So George Michael was, like we said, a queer icon, unfortunately, pushed into coming out in 1998 under extremely silly and frankly predatory circumstances. I put this kind of in the same envelope bucket as like, you all know how I feel about Paul Rubens, and I feel like Paul Rubens was wronged for getting like indecent exposure charges in a
jerking off
theater.
In a jerk-off theater. Sorry.
Literally. So like the way that George Michael was outed was under similarly fuckety circumstances. So he was arrested in Beverly Hills, California for, quote, engaging in a lewd act in a public restroom. But the lewd act in question was the result of a sting operation. So like he was in a bathroom that may or may not, I don't even really know, have been known for cruising, which like
it was.
Yeah, there you go. So like it was already targeted by police. Yes. So essentially, here's what he said about it in an MTV interview. He said, quote, I got followed into the restroom, and then this cop, who I didn't know was a cop, obviously, he starts playing this game, which I think is called, I'll show you mine, you show me yours. And then when you show me yours, I'm going to nick you. Like, I'm going to arrest you. And so he says, if someone's waving their genitalia at you, you don't automatically assume that they're an officer of the law. And I've never been able to turn down a free meal, is what he said.
Same, George.
Fucking iconic. But I just feel like shit like this should not be legal. It shouldn't be legal toward sex workers. Really it shouldn't be legal toward folks buying drugs. Like, I'm sorry. I am not okay with this. I think this is bullshit. And this incident, because when you get arrested, that ends up going into public record, he's outed now publicly. So the cop offers I'll show you mine, you show me yours. George reciprocates the penis showing. This guy, the cop arrests him.
Would you say he put too much faith in the shower?
I hate you so much.
Was he a pee-pee peeper?
Oh my God.
Pee-pee
good,
peeper.
You know what? Yes, and good for him. So he's suddenly being arrested. He pleads no contest. He pays an $810 fine. He's sentenced to 80 hours of community service. But like the most severe consequence is how he is essentially violently outed by the police. And it's really fucked up. That should not be a decision that's made on his behalf. In 90s, the 80s.
80s?
Or 1998. Sorry, 1998.
Yeah.
But still, we're still like reeling from the backlash of the height of the AIDS panic.
Yeah, we're
80s.
not there yet. You don't want to.
We are not.
I mean, no one wants to be outed against their will anyway.
Under any circumstances. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just really fucking pissed about that, so we had to cover it. So hilariously, George Michael takes the whole shit show in pretty amazing stride. George Michael is fucking incredible. And shortly after, he releases a music video for his song called Outside, which satirized the whole bathroom dick-wagging operation, featuring men dressed up as cops making out with each other, which I'm obsessed with. And as a result of this music video, the arresting officer that fucking tricked George Michael into essentially showing him his dick filed suit against George Michael for slander, mockery, and emotional distress.
What a
Who's
loser.
The fucking
what a
snowflake,
fucking loser, right? You snowflake little bitch. Like, go fuck yourself. And the courts have inevitably ruled that, like, if you're a public official performing a sting, you cannot claim damages for emotional distress.
No.
So, like, bye. Your suit, your case is
You're the one that wagged your dick at George in the first place.
Agreed. So George Michael would stay very successful. I mean, I would say a lot of this launched his career even further into the stratosphere. He racked up hundreds of millions in album sales, and like being outed did not do too much to hurt his position as a total sex symbol and icon. It really just broadened the pool.
Oh yeah.
Now women and men could both like openly thirst for him, and we do.
I thirst for the one earring.
Yep. He won 2 Grammys, 3 Brit Awards, had 13 #1 singles. He did great. And all of this celebrity does not just come with being targeted by dick-wagging police officers, obviously. So in 2004, he starts to get strange emails. Somehow, this doesn't sound that weird, because it's like, oh, okay, he has an email address that fans can write to, and some people get weird. Yeah, it's not that. Somehow a fan had obtained his private email address. Not the one managed by his team, not the public one, his personal one. And email after email of disturbing content is like sent to him from an unknown source. He has no idea where this is coming from. And the specific content of the emails wasn't released. I think it's really bad. And it was intense enough that when he forwarded these emails to the authorities, the police became very concerned. Oh. Even to go as far as to say they were afraid of a, quote, John Lennon situation.
Oh my God.
And so I have to imagine these emails had to be unquestionably awful for the same fucking system that is super fucking homophobic and trapped and outed George Michael can't even look away and is like worried about his safety.
Ooh.
These emails continued for days until one night, while George is at home, he's at his house, he has a friend over, they're hanging out, they're drinking wine. George stops short in the middle of a sentence because he could have sworn he heard someone saying his name that wasn't his friend that was sitting right across from him.
Ooh.
In his house.
Ooh.
He was so convinced of this that he went to investigate the sound. It makes my fucking skin crawl. And what he finds is more than he bargained for.
Oh, God.
So as it turns out, for at least 4 months, a woman named Lucy Novak, who is age 29.
No, not me.
Had been it was you, bitch, had been creeping into Michael's home, George Michael's home, then later his office, and later his rural cottage at Goring-on-Thames, Oxfordshire. During these break-ins, she had found his personal information, including his personal email, and started to send him these deranged messages. And the home of her latest break-in, which I think is the cottage, where he heard someone saying his name, was built on a slope. So parts of the house were on stilts.
On a hill, celebrities, windows.
Yep.
And she had wriggled her way into the space between like the underside of the house and the floorboards of the inside and set up a little camp there.
Ew. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, she was under the ground.
Under the floor.
She was in his floorboards.
Ish.
And this is where she was hiding when he heard sounds in his home. And she had been under the floorboards for at least 4 days.
Oh my God.
I can't.
Fucking telltale creep.
Yeah. And on that 4th day, Lucy Novak had started calling out for Michael to lure him out of his house, down below to look for her and to find her hiding spot. I don't know if she was stuck or she just like wanted him to find her.
Oh, where she would like fall on his head. They'd get married and end up together.
That's almost exactly what she does. He comes looking for her and he's like under the house. He's like, what the fuck? She leaps out of her hiding spot, scares the bejesus out of the poor bastard. And, you know, he describes it in like the most adorably British way. He says, quote, I was talking to one of my friends one night and I thought I could hear my name being called out. And then she suddenly presented herself. He's being so sweet about it. She was living in your fucking floor, George Michael. Let's get a little scream.
Don't need to sugarcoat it.
Nope. So we called the cops. The police arrived, but they were like, unwilling to take her into custody because I guess the stalking laws in the UK are somehow even worse than they are in the United States.
Oh my God.
Michael said, quote, the only reason they eventually took her to the police station was because she punched one of the cops. So now she had an assault charge against an officer. Straw. Yeah, otherwise they wouldn't have even bothered arresting her. Which is sick to me.
Luann.
Oh my God. God bless her.
Totally.
Lucy Novak does not have the pull that Luann de Lesseps has. Yeah. She's not hiding behind that Luann de Lesseps legal team. De Lesseps. I'm sorry. De Lesseps.
Countess.
Anyway. Called Tess. I'm so sorry. Oh my God.
When you address me in front of the help, it's Countess de Lesseps.
When you address me in front of the Frogger. So this arrest did not keep her away. Lucy Novak still returned to the home multiple times.
Christ.
Well, she came back a few times, Michael said. And a few months later, they found her masturbating in the corner of my garden.
He's talking about her the way Josh talks about his wildlife.
Literally.
George Michael a few more times.
Watching Lucy Novak on wildlife cam just jacking off in the corner of his garden like one of Josh's fucking possums.
Her eyes are like green with the night light. What's it
Josh,
called?
if you don't leave here naming one of your possums Lucy Novak, I'm going to be very upset. be very upset. Missed opportunity. That would be very Trishelle of you not to name one of your possums Lucy Novak.
Oh, she scurried up under the floorboards again.
Masturbating in the corner of my garden.
I'm trying to like not to
Lucy Novak.
Minimize it. If I would be like skeeved out or like slightly delighted if I found someone masturbating in my backyard.
It really depends on the context. I think a stranger who doesn't want you specifically,
as long as they weren't like looking me in the eye, I think I'd be okay with it.
As long as there were like several layers of like a barrier between us, I'd watch for a minute at least.
Mm-hmm. Lucy is masturbating in the garden after repeated acts of
like the name
of B&E. Lucy, get out of his garden.
Masturbating in the garden.
With the wrench in the garden.
It's not me, love.
T-shirts coming soon to winegram.com.
No!
You know what? Yes, I'm going to text Elizabeth to get that merch order
New
going.
Keychains.
Lucy is masturbating in the garden.
Again.
Have you seen this woman?
But I want it to be like a combo of like our Lucy's face and a possum.
Well, so that it could really a rat face, it wouldn't be that hard.
That's accurate. Possums are delightful. I'm ready for this. I love this merch idea. We're going to run with it. Yeah. It's going to fail, and I do not care.
We've had worse ideas that did better.
We definitely have. So we find her masturbating in the garden. George Michael's like, LOL, please take her away.
He's so chill about it.
This is a bit much. But while she's like out on bail, even after frogging under his floorboards for 4 days.
Do you think she yelled freedom when she got out?
God, I love that song so much.
You've got to give what you take.
You do got to give what you take, but like she's giving too much.
Oh, okay.
And also taking too much. So I think it's after the frogging incident, she gets out on bail, but they establish a protection order, but she breaks it immediately.
Of course.
And part of that,
why would she respect that?
No. She's masturbating in the garden, and she's still sending him deranged emails. When Lucy Novak, the person, not the possum, was finally brought to court, George Michael appeared at her hearing, pleading, this is so, I mean, I really cannot stress enough how like lovely a person George Michael seems to be, because he goes to the hearing and essentially begs the court to keep her out of jail because despite her like reign of terror, he can see very clearly that she is unwell and he does not want her to go to jail. He wants her to go to therapy, like intensive outpatient or inpatient therapy. And so he showed up himself and helps advocate that she be given psychiatric treatment instead of jail time. And it worked. Like he was able to persuade the court, I'm the victim here. I want her to be healed. Like this is the shit that your fucking Frogger needed. Someone to advocate for him, to say this person needs help. And if they're ever going to be safe in public for anyone, then we need to step up and fucking help them.
That's really
great.
This
didn't give little Lucy 5 fingers the wrong idea.
No.
Possums have 5 fingers.
Yeah. Lucy Novak recovered in a mental health facility. She was released after several years. There was a restraining order against, between her and Michael and Michael's partner, Kenny Goss. And that was like it. She did not come after him again. She like actually was rehabilitated to the best of my knowledge and was able to live comfortably in society without potentially causing harm to other people. Well, I sure hope you liked that clip. If you did like that clip, make sure you are subscribing to our YouTube channel, leaving us a nice review, and joining us on Patreon for even more video content, audio content, salacious content all around. Come join us. Treat yourself.